I'm sorry guys, I'm right in the middle of texting at this point. This is the holster that I did with the Warbler. Now the Warbler is usually in thin sheets like this. Like I told you before, the shiny side is like the adhesive side, the sticky side when it gets hot. So you can layer them together. Now once I layered 3 layers together, that's how much thickness I got out of it. So there's definitely a big difference. And I did them all at the same time, and then I put them in a press between 2 pieces of wood and the vise. Now you really don't have to do that, but it's a good idea once you get it hot and once you kind of seal it, well, push them down and rub them out together. It's a good idea to put something on it, overnight. But anyway, that's it, and that's for the little Tomcat 32 by Beretta. Now that's only half of it so far, and I still have to do some sanding and such, but that's where we're at. So we got to see what happens. Now, does anybody here or anybody out there have any idea or have heard anything about the new testing that N.R.A. is going to start offering via the internet? I was talking with a counselor as well as a law enforcement instructor, and he had gotten a letter as and we've been going over it a few times because it sounds confusing as all hell. And I think I may have said something on it already, but what the N.R.A. is doing, that supposedly is starting May 1st, is that they're going to be doing online testing for your permit. They're going to charge you $60 for this online testing. Then, if you pass, there's a number of things that have to happen with PIN numbers and such like that, and then you go see an instructor. Once you see the instructor, he has to give you the live fire testing and test you to make sure that it was you who took the test online. So the instructor's just not going to say, oh, okay, that was you. Here, shoot the gun. Die. Here's your, it's not going to happen. So you're going to have to pay the instructor, just like you would have had it done in the beginning. But now they're saying that the class that they were giving for that, which was your basics of pistol shooting and such, is no longer going to be a certified N.R.A. instructor's course for us to give. And that if we have any material pertaining to that, we can send it back for a credit or a refund. Now, this is just a lot of rigmarole, and N.R.A. is just going to get very rich very quick. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 permits were done last year here in Connecticut, give or take. Now, if every one of those have to go through the N.R.A. at $60 a head, and this is going to be nationwide. We're not just talking Connecticut here, we're talking nationwide. They are going to make a killing. Now, we know that they're into this strictly for the dollar, because they're trying to take it away from us as the instructor and make it more expensive to the student. Because like I say, you're still going to have to pay me to do your testing. Now, once you've taken the online test and you've passed, they give you a PIN number, according to this letter. Now, the PIN number, you bring that to the instructor. Once he certifies you in live fire and whatever else at a fee, then he goes online and he enters that number, supposedly, and then in return, the N.R.A. will send back a printable file for the certificate certifying you, and then I can just hand it to you off the printer. Now, that also brings up a problem, because not all clubs have internet. Not all instructors are going to carry a computer and a printer with them. Now, I always bring my computer with me, so I've always have that. because it's this one right here, the Acer that I have, 17 inch. Because I have videos on there that I show sometimes. And then I also, if it's a large class, I also bring a 32-inch monitor, and I plug the computer into the monitor so everybody can get a clear picture. So at that point, I have that. Now, for a while, I used to keep a printer in the van, and I have it hooked up to the computer wirelessly, so I was able to print, all right, at times, just wirelessly through. However, I can't leave that in there all the time anymore because it gets in the way. And the other is, in the colder weather, the ink freezes up and it just ruins the printer. So at this point, you know, it's causing some issues. So now, if the instructor hasn't got a computer and printer with him, you're going to, you know, pay him, and then he's going to tell you, I will send you your certificate. So now when he goes home, he can print out whatever certificates he has that he has to print out for that day, you know, 1, 10, 15, whatever the case may be. He's going to have to stuck it in an envelope, and he's going to have to mail it to you. So now it's going to cost the student more money, and it's going to actually just make it a little bit harder for them, because now they may, and harder for the instructors. Now, one of the problems here is Connecticut may not honor that. Now, if they don't honor this in Connecticut, we have an issue. Because the N.R.A. is saying that once this starts, the basics of firearm, which is a certifiable type class, is no longer going to be a certifiable class. So I am I'm not supposed to teach this class anymore as being a so-called certified class to get, you know, for your permit. So it's raising a lot of problems, especially here in Connecticut. Now, your southern states, your Midwest states, where the gun laws are a little bit more easier, well, a lot easier, compared to Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New York. You guys down south and Midwest, you haven't got any gun laws. You know, it's just open game for you guys, because they're so lax down there compared to up here. But you know, look at the money. I mean, if Connecticut alone did 100,000, we'll say, permits in a year, you know, what's the country going to do? And at times $60. All right, you know, but what they're doing is they're going to make it almost unaffordable for somebody to take the class, because when they come and see me, you know, depending upon the class and which one they're taking, and if it's a private class or a classroom, or if it's a government class, because I do a lot of things for fire departments and so on, and I charge them, you know, naturally less. But we're talking, you know, $100, $150 a head. So, you know, but I'm spending all day, and sometimes more. I've gone as far as 16 hours on one class that was supposed to be an 8 to 10 hour class. But when people start raising hands and you got questions, you know, you don't want to just stop and not answer it. Not when it comes to firearm and firearm safety. So I will stay there as long as it takes. And I'll sometimes say, listen, for those of you who want to leave, all right, we can do it another day, we can finish it. And, you know, at that point we take it for a second day, so we don't put in too many hours on one day, even though it's supposed to be a one-day class. Anyway, it's going to make it hard for the students and us, and definitely more costly for the students. And what's Connecticut going to do if they don't approve or honor this so-called agreement or this new testing, and then we as N.R.A. instructors that were certified to teach the course are no longer certified to teach that course because that course is no longer going to exist? You know, I mean, it's really opening up a whole can of worms here. And meanwhile, N.R.A. doesn't really care too much about what's causing this and that, because again, they're seeing $60 a head. All right, they are grabbing you from getting your permit before you even get it. Now talk about stealing. Come on. I mean, like, it's almost, you have to go to me. I mean, talk about monopolies. I mean, come on. I mean, isn't that against the law? You know, you have to go to here. You have to see me in order to get your permit. I mean, come on. I mean, sometimes N.R.A. I kind of have on the fence. You know, I know that I don't really care for them. A lot of people in Connecticut don't. A lot of people just don't in general, because they are getting a little too big. It's a double-edged sword. We need them, and at the same token, they're taking advantage of us. You know, so what do we do? You know, because we have to have them. So anyway, that's where we're at. So if anybody's heard anything about this other than what the letter I've got, and they have any input on what they think it actually is or means, or if there's any other instructors out there, I'd be curious to find out what's going on in your state. All right, guys, it's Sunday. It's going on 3:30. I just built a new bed frame with drawers. That's all done. I'm out here. I just did this holster real quick to take a break. Clean the gun. I'm texting here, setting up some time tomorrow because I got to enter some Coast Guard frequencies into the radio. And whoops, other than that, I'm going to call it a day. Have a good one, guys.